Beruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Kuftez Zayin Amud Aleph, 2 lines from the bottom. The Gemara previously discussed Sifrei Minin. If a min who was Oved Avodah Zarah wrote a sefer from Tanakh with Ashuris, with Lashon Kodesh, certainly it's not to be saved from a fire on Shabbos. And the opinions, and it's brought lahalacha that even during the chol, during the week, it should be burnt. However, if it's found in the hands of a minyan, you don't know that he wrote it, then it should be then put in geniza. Says the Gemara, Ima Shalom Devisu de Rabbi Eliezer, Achte de Rabbi Gamliel Havoy. The woman, Ima Shalom was her name, a great woman, the wife of Rabbi Eliezer, who was the sister of Rabban Gamliel. Hava hahu philosophoi b'shivusei. There was a philosopher, a min, who was in her neighborhood, in the neighborhood where they lived. The have a shokil shma de lo mekabel shoichdo, who had tried to then obtain a reputation that he doesn't take shoichad. So on top of Daf Kuf Tezayin Amud Beis, here the Gemara is telling us that the sister of Rabbi Gamliel, Ima Shalom, together with Rabbi Gamliel, then visited this min in order to then show that he was somebody who was a faker and a liar. Bo la'achuke bey, they came to then show and reveal his true colors. Aylele shraga dahava. It says that the woman Ima Shalom, the wife of Rabbi Eliezer, and again the sister of Rabbi Gamliel, she then brought a golden menorah as shoichad to him. Va'azu lekamei, and then she and her brother Rabbi Gamliel came and entered to speak with him and to get a judgment. Amra le, she said to him, Ba'ina denefile le benichse de beinoshai. She said that we want, or I want, that the Yerusha of my father be split between me and my brother. Omaluhu ploigu. So he said, then split it. Omar le ksiv lon b'makom bera bartoloterus. It says that in a place where there is a son, then the daughter does not get any of the Yerusha. So Rabbi Gamliel put that question to him. Omar lehu. Omar le. So he said back to them, Min yoima de gelisun me arochoin is natalis oraisi de Moshe v'is Yahveis sifra achriti. From the time that you went into Galus and you lost your land, referring to Klal Yisrael, then the Torah of Moshe, he said, was given instead of it a different sefer, a different book in its place. V'ksiben, it's written in that sefer, bro ubarto kechad yerson, that both the son and the daughter together, they share the Yerusha. So clearly, he took the shoichad from Ima Shalom, and he then gave the judgment that they should then split the Yerusha, she and her brother Rabbi Gamliel. Lo machar hodar ayl leihu chamra luba. The next day, Rabbi Gamliel, he brought a different shoichad, a white donkey, which was very expensive. Omar lehu. So now the min said to them, Shvilis l'seifa de sifra. I looked into the end of the sefer. V'ksiben, it's written, Ano loy lemifchas min araisa de Moshe asesi. I'm not coming to then detract and take away from that which is written in Torah Moshe. And also not adding to the Sefer of Moshe. Some have the gears slightly different. It says, I'm only coming to add to the Sefer of Moshe Rabbeinu, of Moshe. V'ksiv ben, it's written at the end of the Sefer, b'makom b'ro barto lo terus. In the place where there is a son, the daughter does not split the Yerusha. Amrei le, then she hinted Ima Shalom to this min, and she said, Nahor naharech kishraga, let your light shone forth like the shraga, like the lamp. as a reference to the fact that she gave him just before a sheikhad of a lamp, a golden lamp. Amar Rav Gamliel said to her in front of everybody that was present, in order to reveal the stupidity and the falsehood of this min, the donkey came and he kicked over the lamp. Says the Gemara, weiter quoting our Mishnah, why is it that we don't read Kesuvim on Shabbos? Says the Gemara, Amarav, two different dissenting opinions. Lo shanu ela bizman beis hamedrash. Rav says this is only taught in regards to not reading the Kesuvim during the time of the Beis HaMedrash, meaning the time when there's a drasha on Shabbos. Aval shelo bizman Beis HaMedrash karin. But at the time there's no drasha, that means after the Suda, then you could read on Shabbos from Kesuvim. In other words, the concern was that there would be a person reading the Kesuvim, he would be drawn after the Kesuvim and not then go to the drasha that is given on Shabbos. So therefore, at the time of the drasha, it is forbidden. But, however, when it's not during the time of the drasha, one can read the Kesuvim on Shabbos. That's the opinion of Rav. Ushmuel Omar, Shmuel argues, and he said, "Afilu shaloi bizman beis hamidrash ein karin." Even when it's not during the time of the drasha, also one cannot read the Kesuvim. Ask the Gemara, Ini v'ho neherdo asri de Shmuel hava. Rav Shmuel was the Rosh Hashiva in the city of Neherdo in Bovel. Uve Neherdo paski sidro b'Ksuvim b'minchase de Shabbato. And it says that in the city of Neherdo they would read paragraph of Ksuvim. They would read Ksuvim on Shabbos after the time of Mincha. Ella. Rather, you have to say this is what was said. Omar Rav, lo shanu ela b'makom beis hamedrash. Ava shelo b'makom beis hamedrash koin. Here, instead of saying the zman beis hamedrash, rather it says in the makom. Rav says that only in the place of the beis hamedrash was it forbidden to read ksuvim, but in one's home in a different place one could read ksuvim. Ushmul Omar bein b'makom beis hamedrash bein shelo b'makom beis hamedrash. Whether it's in the place in the beis hamedrash itself or outside the beis hamedrash. Bizman shebeis hamedrash ein karin. Shelo beis hamedrash karin. If it's the time of the drasha, then when it's forbidden to read ksuvim. But if it's not during the time of the drasha, after the time of mincha, then one could read ksuvim wherever he is, either the beis hamedrash or outside. And the Gemara then comments, Va'od Shmuel l'tamei. Now Shmuel goes according to his reasoning. The b'neherdo paski sidro de ksuvim b'de minchasa de shabto. That means that in Neherda they were accustomed to reading Ksuvim on time of Mincha on Shabbos. So therefore, indeed, this is following the opinion of Shmuel that only during the time of the drasha is it forbidden. Rav Ashi argues and said that really you can say what Shmuel learned, what he taught, what we learned beforehand, what was said before. Ushmuel Reb Nechemia. And Shmuel is like the opinion of Reb Nechemia in the following brisa that is not like the opinion of our Mishnah. The Tanya, it states in the brisa, Afal pisha omru kisvei hakodesh ein karim bohen. Even though here the Tanakama says, like our Mishnah, that even though one cannot read the kisvei kodesh, referring to the ksuvim on Shabbos, aval shoinim bohen, but they could go ahead and look up the midrashim on these ksuvim, v'darshim bohen, and they can expound them. Nitzrach lifsoik lepasuk, maybe v'rayah. If they needed a pasuk, they can look it up. So that's the opinion of the Tanakam of this brisa. Omer Rabbi Nechemia mipnei ma omru kisvei hakodesh ein karim behem. Why is it that they said you cannot read from the kisvei hakodesh, from the ksuvim? Kedei sheyoimru bekisvei hakodesh ein karin. The kol shekain kishtari hadyotes, in order to make a kal v'chomer and say, if indeed the chachamim were machmir and said you cannot read even ksuvim on Shabbos, then certainly you cannot read then the shtarei hadyotes, which are documents of, let's say, business documents, which is prohibited to read. So therefore they'll be more careful. That's the opinion of Reb Nechemia, and that was what Shmuel was stating before when he said that one cannot read the the ksuvim, not during the time of the base of the drasha, or even when it's not during the time of the drasha. But he himself, however, did not follow this opinion. He followed the opinion of the Chachamim here in this brisa, as well as in the Mishnah that says that indeed, when it comes to the time that is not during the drasha, after the Zman of the Suda, one could, yes, read the Ksuvim, because then it's not going to be a problem of Bittul Beis HaMedrash. In other words, the Chachamim in our Mishnah says it's a problem of Bittul Beis HaMedrash. They will not come to the drasha. Whereas the opinion of Nehemiah is not discussing that. He holds that the reason why one cannot read Ksuvim is because of Shtarei Hedyotos. Says the Gemara now, the next Mishnah, as follows: Matzilin tik hasefer im hasefer, v'tik hatfilin im hatfilin. A person can not only save a sefer on Shabbos from a deleka, from a fire, one of the books of Tanakh, but he can also save the tik, because the tik is agav, the sefer. And suadin, when it comes to tefillin, not only can he save the tefillin from a fire, but he can also save the tik of the tefillin. And here's the Tosefes Chiddush in the Mishnah, that even if that tik contains within it money, and we know that money is muktzah machmas gufoy, it's something that's considered to be a strong type of muktzah that one could not move. In this case, however, he's able to move it because of the kula that one can save either the sefer or the tefillin. The Mishnah goes on to say, where can you go ahead and mimatzil? Certainly we cannot be talking about taking the sefer and taking it out, let's say, of the chotzer where there's a fire, and bringing it into the Rishus HaRabim. That you cannot do, because that would be an Isser Mid'Oraisa of Hotzah, and they would not be permitting an Isser D'Oraisa on Shabbos. So even a Sefer Torah, it's a remarkable statement, even a Sefer Torah cannot be, then you cannot be over an Isser D'Oraisa, a Malacha on Shabbos, Mid'Oraisa, to save it even from a fire. Whereas when it comes to, let's say, Pikuach Nefesh, when it comes to saving a Jewish life, even if it's only going to be a suffix, whether he will live, and even if it's going to be only for another minute, one is permitted, and it's a mitzvah to then be mechal the Shabbos for that life. Al Koponim over here asks in the Mishnah, where do we then save the sefer that's coming from, let's say, the chotzer? Says the Mishnah, lemavui she'eino mefulash. According to Tanakama, to a mavui she'eino mefulash, Ben Beseira omer af lemefulash. Ben Beseira argues that even a mefulash, a mavi mefulash. Now, what are we speaking about? In the times of Chazal, the batim, they had many batim, many houses that opened up to one chotzer, and they would have many chatzeros that opened up to one mavui. So the classical definition of a mavi that is eino mefulash means that it's a mavi that has three different walls, and that means it's closed in three different ruchos, and it's open on one ruach to the Rishus HaRabim. And the classic definition of a mavoi that's mefulash is that it's only closed on two sides, two parallel sides, but it's open on both other ends. So here, it cannot be referring to then, according to Ben Beseiros, it cannot be referring to that you can take the Sefer Torah from the Chotzer to a mavoi that's mefulash, because that would be like taking it to a Rishus HaRabim. So over here, we must be referring to the fact that the Tanakama says a mavi she'eino mefulash means that it's closed on three sides, and it's open on one side to the Rishus HaRabim. Mid'Oraisa, there's not a problem to take carry from the mavui that is closed on three sides to the Rishus HaRabim. But the Chachamim were concerned that maybe a person will then confuse it and think that you can carry in the Rishus HaRabim. So therefore, they required that there be on the fourth side that is open to the Rishus HaRabim depending on the opinion, let's say a lechi, a post that is asar tfachim high, at the end of this mavui, to indicate that you're entering now the Rishus HaRabim. So over here we're referring to the fact that even though there's an opinion that requires two lechayim, two posts, one on each side, but nonetheless, according to the Tanakama, one post is sufficient to then matir the hatzala of a Sefer Torah from a fire. Whereas Ben Beseira oimer afal mefulash, Ben Beseira says that it's sufficient to have three walls of this mavui, and even if the fourth wall, which is open to Rishus HaRabim, does not have any lechi, that still is going to be okay. They were making when it comes to then being matzil a Sefer Torah from a fire. Says the Gemara, bringing the following brisa. Now this brisa is in regards to a different subject altogether. It's talking about when Pesach, Erev Pesach rather, comes out to be Yudalid on Shabbos. And the Torah is matir to bring a korban Pesach on Shabbos. But what was it matir? It was matir to shecht the korban Pesach. It was matir to then bring up the evarim that's going to be put on the Mizbeach. And it was matir a certain amount of flailing of the skin, of taking off the skin of the animal. The discussion between these Tanoim and our Brisa now is to which extent do they now allow one to then be flail the skin of the behema, to be mafshit the or of the behema. So the Gemara is bringing this Brisa because we're going to soon see that one from our Mishnah we can prove like one of these Tanoim. Says the Gemara, bringing the Brisa, Ton Rabban, Arbo Asar Shechaliyos B'Shabbos, when the 14th of Nisan comes out to be on Shabbos, when the day that one brings the korban Pesach, Ben Harboim in the afternoon, Mafshitin es HaPesach, Ad HaChazeh, Divei Rabbi Yishmael ben Noisha, Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika. Rabbi Yishmael ben Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika, he's of the opinion that one can then mafshit the or of the korban Pesach only from the feet until the chazeh, until the chest of the animal. V'chachamim oimrim mafshitin es kulo. You can go ahead and take off this entire skin from the foot all the way up to the head. So Gemara says, Bishlam Rabbi Shmuel ben Noisha Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika the ha'is avile, that he permits only to then take off the skin, to be mashit the or until the chazeh, until the chest, because tzarich gavoya, because that's in order to then remove the emurim, the chalovim from the animal to be put on the mizbeach. El Rabbanan, my time. Why did the Rabbanan permit to take off the or all the way until the top of the animal? Omar Rabbi Bar Chana Rabbi Yochanan Omar Kro, because the pasuk says Kol Poal Hashem Lema'anehu. All that Hakadosh Baruch Hu did is for His glory, and therefore over here, by then flailing the skin, taking out all of the skin, even the entire amount, would be considered to be for a mitzvah, Leman Hashem, for the Kavod Hashem, and therefore it's permitted. The Gemara asks, what is this going to be for the glory of Hashem? Rav Yosef Omar Shelo Yasriach. Rav Yosef says, so that the animal does not masriach, does not become smelly, because if the or remains on the animal, so it will heat up the animal, the basar of the animal, whereby it can come to smell. Rava Amar, a different reason. Rava says he's not concerned about in short period of time, by the night time, that it also become to smell, but rather for a different reason. Shaloyu kodshe shamayim mutolin bin kinevala. It should not be that there should be a carbon that should be appearing like a carcass, because you have half of the animal where its skin was then taken off, the other half of the animal has the skin still on it, and it appears to be like a nevola, like a nevela. My benayu asked the Gemara, what is then going to be the difference between these two opinions? Ika benayu, the monach apesura de dahava. If you put it on a golden plate, by putting it on a golden plate there, it doesn't appear to be like a carcass, and therefore it has chashivus. However, according to the other opinion that Rav Yosef said, that it will still cause a concern that it will become a masriach, it will smell bad. Inami, another difference between these two opinions, yoima de astana. When you have a day where it's cool, where you have northern winds that are blowing, then there won't be a concern that it will become masriach. However, you do have the concern that it will still remain looking like a carcass, which won't be the kavod of a carbon. Rabbi Yishmael ben Osher Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika, Hi Paul Hashem L'maneu my avidle. Not to say that he has to darshan the pasuk over here for the Indian of korban Pesach, but the Gemara knows that indeed, since he does use it, so therefore the Gemara wants to then me'ara and understand what is the Maisa, what does he then do with the pasuk? How does he explain the pasuk in regards to then being mafshit the or? Answers the Gemara, Shelo yotzi es ha'emurin koiden hafshotas ha'or. In order not to then bring out the emurim of the innards of the animal, before then taking off the skin of the animal. My time, why is that significant? Why is that going to be Laman Hashem is going to be considered to be Kvod Shamayim? Because it shouldn't be that the hair of the wool should then stick to the emurim when you then take it out. Therefore, you have to flail the skin by taking off the skin, then removing the emurim. That will be then Kvod Shamayim, that there shouldn't be any hairs sticking onto that emurim.